Hello, we are back and ready for another video, and today is going to be a super fun one. So I am addicted to my subscription boxes. I love getting these special edition books. I love seeing what I get every month, and I'm so ridiculous excited to get them every time. Like, I'm subscribed to way too many, so we're not gonna talk about that. But today we are going to be continuing on a series that I've really grown to enjoy. So we have 3 months of illumicrate books here, and the series that I'm doing is every so often, once I have a few months in of my books, I'm going through my subscriptions and reading the books that I've been getting in from them. Basically, I'm doing this to see, as a year-long evaluation, to see, am I actually enjoying these books that I'm getting? Is my money worth it going into these? And should I switch to something else? Should I be spending my money on a different thing? Should I potentially cancel these? So I've done 2 editions of the illumicrate, reading illumicrate books this year, and it's not been very good. To be honest, it has been fairly disappointing, and I am really starting to wonder if illumicrate's actually worth it for me. But that being said, I do think that this stack of books has a very good potential, potentially the best of all of the books that we've gotten this year, for me to find something that I enjoy. And I'm really hoping so, because I think out of the 6 books that I've read so far, I've had maybe 1 4-star, couple 3s, couple 2s. Like, it's not been very promising. So I really am hoping that I'm able to find something that I enjoy, and just something that I can like rationalize to myself that I'm actually spending my money wisely by getting illumicrate. And we'll see. There's a good chance of no. But let's take a look at the 3 books that I'll actually be reading so far this month, or the 3 books that I'll be reading for this video. So I think that this was either March, or I think this was April or May of this year. But we have Witch King by Martha Wells. This is her first adult fantasy book, and I have read all of her Murderbot series before, really enjoyed them. So I am hoping that this will be one that I like. Then we have The Sun and the Void by Gabriela Romero Lacroix. Not sure, I don't know the plot of this one very well yet, but I do really like this edition, and this is going to be another recurring theme this year, is that I love these editions. I really love getting these like sprayed edges, these special covers, everything, and that is a big reason why I still subscribe to all of these boxes. So I'm excited to get to this one. And then the 3rd book is the one that I think has the highest potential to be something that I love, and that is The Jasad Heir by Sarah Hashem. So again, pretty edition, and I believe that this is a fantasy romance, which I could very much be wrong. I tend to not really read the descriptions of these books too much before I go into them. Just, I like that element of surprise as well. But I believe that I saw online that this was a fantasy romance, which that's my favorite genre. So most potential that this could be something I love. So yeah, these are my 3 books, and I'm gonna dive in and start reading The Witch King, and I will get back to you once I have some updates. I don't know, like, this just fell flat. This fell so flat for me, and here I am disappointed again. So in this one, we're following the titular Witch King, who is this guy named Kai, who is basically a demon. And in this world, demons are able to come to the mortal realm and inhabit bodies and live there. And there's some kind of like coexistence that they have where they live in these mortal bodies, and, you know, they are still somewhat connected to the demon plane, but they basically live full-time in the mortal realm. So a year before, somebody had betrayed Kai and basically overpowered him and then locked him in this tomb for a year. So he's been in a tomb, like unconscious, for a year, and somebody comes, wakes him up, and then from there he decides to try and get revenge and figure out what happened. So like, that is really the only interesting part of it. I feel like that is the only part that I can say was actually interesting to follow, is that this guy was in a tomb and he decides to get revenge, and I don't feel like anything interesting happened at at all in this book. I didn't like the characters, I didn't like the plot, I didn't really care about the world. Like, I don't feel like this book gave anything. Kai felt like the only fully developed character, and there were so many in this book, and every single one of them felt like incredibly one-dimensional. And then this world, the world, like so much of that world should have been like an interesting setting, and I felt like none of it connected and none of it actually followed through on what I was hoping. And just, yeah, nothing about this actually worked. Every part of it just fell flat, and I didn't care about like anything that was happening in this book, unfortunately. Then it felt young. It felt very young compared to where I think it should have been. And I don't really know what else to say other than this. Nothing about this worked for me. And I think it's going to be a 2-star because nothing actually delivered what I was hoping it to. And all I'm coming out of it is just feeling like, thank God that's over, because I did not want to continue reading this book. I did not want to try and get through it. And it took me so long to read too, because I just did not want to continue it, which that's a bad sign. If I am like really procrastinating getting to a book, it's very much a sign that I do not like it. And I am disappointed because this is Martha Wells, her first fantasy debut, because she's obviously the author of the Murderbot Diaries, and I've read all of those. I've enjoyed them quite a bit, but something about her writing just didn't translate well to fantasy for me, and yeah, I'm really disappointed. Also though, one really disappointing thing, so I want to share this end paper artwork, which I think is like some of the most beautiful like artwork that I've seen in any of these books. And this is one that I would desperately love to have a print of to have on my wall, because I think it's so freaking cool. And yeah, I'm really sad that this book did literally nothing for me. So, you know, what a wonderful start to this video, especially after the last edition where I did not like many of the books. Here we go. Great start. I am so happy with this. So here's to like seriously hoping that the other 2 books in this video are actually going to be interesting. And like this one, I really don't even feel like I can say anything about it, because I just like, not only did I not enjoy it, I feel like I just didn't, at about halfway through, I just like mentally checked out and wasn't really as invested anymore. So I don't even feel like I can really talk that much on what happened, because I was not mentally present while reading. So I'm really hoping that the next 2 books will be better than this one. I have a book done, and beautiful. I really like how they did this edition with like the white on top, black on bottom, and here's just some cute little character artwork and the inside of the book. All very pretty. So this one, I'm honestly kind of confused about how to best describe it, because it gets into certain areas of like mythology, and I believe it's all Venezuelan mythology, that I don't quite know how to describe. So I'm not sure if all the mythology is like traditionally Venezuelan or if it was created in this one, but you know. So we're following 2 girls who they both like live on the edge of society based on the type of person they are. So they're not 100% human. They're more of, I forget exactly what their name is, but they're basically not 100% human, and they have like horns, tails. They're like slightly like a humanoid type of person though. And they're very much a group of people who are super shunned by society, and everybody looks like very poorly down upon them. So both of them though live in fairly prominent families and are kind of like the shame of the family that there was this interbreeding that happened and that they are this type of person. And we're following one of them as she is apprenticed to her grandmother, who is like this really notorious witch who works for like a dark god and is doing this like really evil magic, and she's been apprenticed to her and like really forced to go along with all of this terrible stuff that her grandmother's doing. And then we're following another girl who's just trying to find like her place in her family, where she's very much ostracized and like very much trying to find a way to be herself and be happy. So a lot of this story is Reina, who is the apprentice to her grandmother, her story as she is like going through this ritual that her grandmother has her complete, where it's something where they need like a very specific ingredients, very specific number of things to happen, and it can only happen on this one date every 42 years. So they are doing this intense ritual together, and she's been complacent in a lot of the terrible stuff that's happening with it. So like some of it is like they have to kill babies, they have to kidnap women, they have to do all of this stuff, and she's just kind of going along, feeling like she has no choice but to comply, and having like 0 agency in her life to decide what she wants to do. And the crux of the story is there is that event coming up, this ritual on this certain date. Everything everything is leading up to it, and we have certain people who are trying to prevent it and certain people who are trying to make it happen. So that is the gist of the story. And overall, I did think this was pretty good. I just felt like it dragged a lot, especially in the beginning. So like so much of this beginning part of the book felt like just like building the scene, like laying up to why they're doing this. And like, yes, those are important to stories, but it felt like there was a solid, like, I think it was like 200 pages where they were literally just setting up things for the story to happen. It kind of lost me at that point because I wasn't necessarily as interested in just like going through this training and nothing really happening. And so yeah, that part I just wasn't as into. And I did enjoy the story by the end of it, but I feel like that part just like really dragged down my rating, and that alone kind of not quite ruined the story for me, to just like set it off on a different note. So it is going to be a 3-star. I don't think it was bad by any means. I just think like it could have been edited down a little. Like I think it was almost a 500-page book. I think it could have been 350 or 400 and we would have gotten the exact same story, and that definitely would have improved my rating considerably. And so I'm now on to the third book. I've started this one. I'm probably like, like just under 100 pages into it, and I really am really enjoying this one so far. So it's a fantasy romance, and yay, that's my favorite. But we're in this world where there's like, I think 4 different kingdoms, and something had happened, I think 5-10 years before, where the Jasad kingdom was basically completely wiped out. And now being a Jasadi has become something that is outlawed. So all of the people who are Jasad or from Jasad have magic, and this has become incredibly dangerous to have magic now, because if you are identified as one, you are immediately killed. Basically everybody is working, all of these soldiers are working to wipe out everybody from the Jasad kingdom. And we're following a young girl who is a princess to the Jasad throne, who has presumably, or is believed to have died in this like gigantic massacre that started off the war. And she has been spending the last like 10 years living in small towns, just like trying to blend in, trying to like not bring attention to herself, and just really like just trying to hide from anybody who might track her down. So something happens where the crown prince of one of the other thrones comes to this town. Like he apparently is doing like a tour or something, like traveling through all these small towns, and he comes across her and has this like sense, he feels like she might have magic, but he can't determine if she does. So he's kind of like suspicious of her right now, and that is where I'm at right now. And I'm really excited to keep going because I'm really enjoying this so far. I'm such a big fan. I'm done, and I actually like really like this one, and this is like, I'm just so excited that I found one that I like this much. Yeah, this was just like a really fun fantasy world, and really fun characters, really fun magic, like all of it just was so exciting. It left off in such a good spot. So I talked a bit before about how it's like the Jasad kingdom had been destroyed, and we're following the heir who's been in like hiding for so many years. So from there, the heir of this other kingdom came across our main character while she was in hiding, and he could kind of sense that she had magic and could tell that there was something up with her, but he couldn't quite tell what it was, and like something about her magic was like a little more hidden than it like normal people's are. He convinces her to become his champion for these games that all the kingdoms have. And this is one point where I was a little confused about what the purpose of these games are, but apparently all the kingdoms compete in these every 3 years, and I'm not sure if it gives them some type of power or just more of like renown within the world and like bragging rights. But he convinces Sylvia, our main character, to be his champion for his kingdom. Basically, she is involved in these like 3 competitions, and each of them are champions from the 4 kingdoms, like fighting each other out and like really trying to become the victor. At the same time, there's like all of this plot, like all of these stuff working behind, where she's trying to figure out why this huge massacre had happened against her kingdom, learning things about her kingdom because she was a child when this happened. And also there's these like rebellion groups of Jasadi people who are working to like bring the kingdom back to where it was, and she's trying to maneuver all of this, and potentially feelings for this heir to the other kingdom that she's starting to see. I loved it. I really thought that this was fantastic. Honestly, the only reason I'm not giving it a 5 stars, it kind of the competition aspect, I got a little confused about it, and I found that honestly almost we didn't really need it. It was just like kind of adding the competition thing in to give it a bit more plot, but like I don't think it really needed that, and I kind of got lost I kind of got a little confused about what was happening there. But it was definitely very close to a 5-star, and I'm gonna give it a 4, but it was definitely like a very, very high 4-star and like could have pretty easily become a 5. So I am intensely, incredibly happy about this one, and just so thrilled that I had a book this video that I really liked, because starting to lose my hope a little bit there. So with that being finished, we are ready to wrap up this video and talk about these 3 months of books. So this was another disappointing like round of it, because I didn't really like Witch King. Like thinking back on it, I didn't really like it that much. It didn't really do that much for me, and I don't really feel any positive thoughts towards it now that I'm done. Like it was just it was a book I read, and that's kind of all I feel about it. Is just I read it and there's that. The Sun and the Void I did like, but I did think that there were quite a few changes that could have been made to make this a better book, and it was one that it was okay, but it was almost good, you know, like there was something just missing that could have made this like an actually really enjoyable book, but it just didn't quite get there. And then thankfully the Jasad Air was one that I really, really liked, and I'm actually really impressed with how this one turned out, and I'm really, really happy with it. But if we're looking at that one book out of 3 that I really enjoyed, like that is not the best statistics, you know. It's not really the best feeling that I only enjoyed one of them this much. So just looking at it another way too, I know for sure that these are 3 books that I probably would have picked up on my own whether or not I got them in a subscription. So for that reason alone, I feel okay having paid for them, because I know like I absolutely would have read Witch King because I'm a big fan of Martha Wells. I think if I'd heard any hype about the Jasad Air, I would have picked it up, and The Sun and the Void sounded interesting enough that I probably would have also. So for that reason, I feel okay having paid for them. They're all books that I was aware about before they came out and before they came into my possession. So they're books that, yes, they were on my radar, I would have read. Maybe I didn't need to have spent money on them though. That is the thing, is like, did I necessarily need to buy them? Not really. And are any of these editions ones that like I'm thrilled to have in my collection? Like, are any of these special editions special enough that I feel like really, really attached to them? And not really. The Sun and the Void maybe, because I do like how the edges turned out on that one, but otherwise like this is pretty, but I don't think it's like as special to have spent like how much money I did. So this edition is kind of making me feel like, again, maybe illumicrate is not the book box for me. Like maybe it's not actually worth it, because I'm not really vibing with that many of the books that I've read from it so far. So we'll see. I still have probably 1 or 2 more editions of this to film this year, of like this series of reading illumicrate books. So at the end of the year, we'll evaluate and see like what do I think of the subscription? Do I feel like I'm wasting my money? And do I think I should continue with it next year? So yeah, keep your eyes out. There's probably going to be another video or 2 in December reading these books, and there will be tons more fun ones in December because I am doing Bookmas all month long. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.